Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to San Jose by Night, City of Glass, Episode 4, Homegrown. Ever since the disappearance of a colleague do we say colleague? One officer here, Brian Wilson. The city has gone oddly quiet. Though there was a incident that has been almost a month away. The sad truth of it is that the world of the living will never know what happened. If certain parties do their job right. Sent outwards, the kindred of our coterie, the Midnight Menagerie, have been assigned to a small section of Willow Glen, a neighborhood far known for its historical significance. Older style homes and what have you end up littering the premises, but one would argue not the strongest of hunting options. After all, most historical sites are visited throughout the day. Tourists and what have you. Interesting to see the old ashes of which Silicon Valley has been built out of. The fact of the matter is that the age of the neighborhood is of significance. It is where arguably the Camarilla have some of the strongest control in San Jose. This is no border to maybe an anarch threat. No spotting post for maybe the whispers of a Sabbat uprising. Nor is it held in particular prominence. No, this is a very small portion of domain that has been cut out specific for the coterie. After all, the Midnight Menagerie has been a coterie that has been built, handcrafted, by the Camarilla in a joint venture. You see, not too long ago, a few years back, when the Second Inquisition burned down London, when they attacked Detroit, when whispers of what happened in Jackson started to reach the ear of Prince Harrington, she decided to make a play. A very odd play. A call of amnesty. Of forgiveness. Walk within the doors of Elysium and your sins shall be forgiven. Pledge your loyalty to the Camarilla. And let us face this threat of a second Inquisition together. Laughable to most anarchs, I have no doubt, and yet an influence amongst the anarchs walked through. Baron Brax, now Seneschal Brax. Many those who would follow him have now joined the Camarilla. Old hatreds, though, remain smoldering. But in hopes of showing an olive branch, this coterie has been made whose sires are former anarch and lifetime, or should I say time, long Camarilla members. In hopes that this would be a vision of the future. Reality is now it's simply turned into something that is sitting on the shelf. A bauble. Nested nicely behind a glass cabinet. The ivory tower does take care of its own, though. Gifted an old mansion. Now, To say it has all the modern sensibilities would be uh, grossly misunderstanding the nature of it. It has an old greenhouse in the back. Wondering how many bodies or ash piles have been buried there. More so, you have a wonderful view of a fairly large yard up front. Gate, no less. And the capability to be able to, well, hopefully, keep yourselves out of trouble. Unfortunately, ever since, well, I do have to apologize. I am having a little bit of a technical issue. As of recent, the Camarilla has perhaps seen fit to end up being sure you're nested away. Some of you maintain your masks, as one does. But in other circles, one may end up finding themselves struggling quite a bit. Fact is that most are not ready to end up handling such responsibilities, but the Camarilla believes you are ready. You continue, perhaps, to maintain your masks, such as they are, be it as a coroner, a doctor, or something else of the like. But the month has passed, and little contact has been reached out to you. Not even a formal invitation to Elysium, whose doors would welcome you if it didn't arouse certain suspicions. With that in mind, let's go down the line. For the past month, you've been left to your own devices. You find hunting is hard in this particular neck of the woods. Fact is that you've struggled to end up maintaining the need for blood. But you have a safe shelter. And the Camarilla provides its protections, going so far as to make sure that you have the amenities needed to end up continuing your work. Problem is that they're not giving you any. But then again, who could trust a fledgling? So with that, let's go down the line. Fishmonger, what has been happening over this past month? How have the actions of the previous portions of the coterie, or previous portions of the Chronicle, impacted you?
First, I guess, impressions. Now that it's been a month, there's been some, let's call it social musical chairs between the coterie. It's pretty much been cemented in his mind that he has allies and enemies. And he's hoping that he can put aside the differences for the enemies so that they too can become allies in the future. As for how he passes time during the quiet lull period where the Camarilla basically leaves them alone, he's probably snuck out more than once to go spy on his family. Sometimes it's at their house, or uh, perhaps it's only been a couple of months since he's died. So the grave would probably have visited there too when they are visiting it.
And is that how you
Probably
typically
go.
go about it, Fishmonger? Is that you decide to place yourself at your grave to end up seeing them visit? Or do you go out of your way to
Yeah.
see them?
Well, the most likely habit is he will try to position himself in a place he knows they're going to be and wait there to see them come and go. Um, so the grave is just the most immediate one that pops up, but maybe there's maybe one night he'll watch his wife come home from work or watch them go out to eat dinner. Just kind of just sticking to the shadows, and I guess shadowing is a good word. It's kind of shadowing them.
If you're being polite about it.
Yes.
But there was definitely a controversy on when your grave was disturbed. That did not go unnoticed.
Yeah.
Currently, there are investigations as to why it is that your grave was partially dug up. How disrespectful towards the dead. But I'm sure those responsible will pay. After all, you see him walking around in your little domicile. It's taken several months, but he has taken a sip of each of you to not only heal the wounds as drastically as possible for a ghoul, but to facilitate a loyalty, to establish a pecking order. Though he's hardly the ideal servant, he stumbles about on occasion. That might have to do with the sheer beating that he ended up taking at your hands, Fishmonger. But it's an incident that is forgiven. Oh, you're pretty sure that's the blood bond talking. Let's move on to Lila. Lila, what have you been doing this past month? How is it you've been trying to occupy the doldrums of the evening?
Well, outside of going to the bar for work and running whatever errands my sire has for me, she's been helping the coterie around the house, getting things set up here and there, and also at her sire's insistence, picking up a couple new athletic skills that will hopefully come in handy down the road, providing they ever get any jobs coming in.
Especially given the, well, let's just say, lack of physicality that is found in your coterie. Barring one, most are not shown to be physically capable. Thankfully, being a bar hand on occasion requires a bit of heavy lifting. Kegs do get heavy after a while.
Oh yes.
But
But
as
also, she's been spending time with her family, her brother.
adoptive brother, why is it specifically that you've been going out there? What is it that has been catching your interest with them? After all, they're not aware you're dead yet.
Haven't seen them for a while. The job, quote unquote, has been keeping me busy and checking in on things.
Certainly, you pop in first thing is at sunset in order to end up saying that you're just heading to work. Gives you a good excuse to swing on by. Though, Lila, you probably are not a stranger to the ciphers that a lot of kindred use. And along the route, you have seen one pop up. You don't know who it belongs to, but the message is incredibly clear. That somebody's watching you visit somebody else on their territory. Though maybe they don't know exactly who you're visiting or why. They're making it very clear. It seems all of the signs seem to face towards the way you are driving. A curious thing.
Something to keep an eye on.
Hopefully there's no repercussions there. But it seems that somebody doesn't like you leaving your bit of territory. Now, let's go to Doc Saturday. Doc, a lot of bullet wounds, a lot of spilled blood, a few corpses that had to be removed. Fact of the matter is that your clinic has been allowed to continue to operate, though there is some tension, shall we say, amongst the Camarilla. Mostly because there's some strain given your lineage. Zemisi are not exactly a common clan amongst the Camarilla, and even amongst the Anarchs there tend to be few and far between, not to be trusted. Though which clan is these knights?
I already knew going into it would be troublesome dealing with this. The madam has told me all about their ways, their hatred, their eye for us, but it is just another hurdle. Other than them being stressed about what I do, even though I am helping clean up messes that should never go noticed. In this time, even though my clinic is my major forte, I have been a bit curious. What other domains are around?
A handful.
What other kindred are?
A handful have managed to end up making themselves known. The two biggest ones would be that you are placed on a border very, very close to Temptation's End. In fact, rumor is that a portion of your new domain once technically fell under their territory. Might be a little bit of resentment there, or maybe just the sewing circle causing a little bit of trouble. Who knows?
We did get off on a shaky foot with them.
And the second one... Go ahead.
I did not like going into the domain, but job needed to be done.
Job needs to be done. But the other portion of it might actually be more concerning. Sheriff Gash. Now, Sheriff Gash is known for being, shall we say, fidgety, maybe even partially paranoid, justifiably so, but the type that can see an enemy in everyone. Immediately knows on what you're capable of. Very observant. And it's said that a portion of his domain was also given up. Perhaps it is because you're trying to. Well, maybe it's because of the situation that has happened. The Second Inquisition forcing him to be away from his domain, less for him to watch over. Or maybe it's a punishment for incompetency without openly claiming such. Who knows the machinations of the Camarilla? Suffice it to say, Gash might have even more bones to pick with you. Or maybe he's right where he needs to be. The gun to the back of your head should you step out of line. And he is certainly watching.
Well, if he is watching, then he can see. Maybe let's try to turn that iron, that gun that he holds to the back of our head, and let's try to manipulate it so it's in our.
A potential. Also dangerous. An individual whose very trade is violence, maintaining Camarilla law as an absolute. And for you to even start to flounder with that, well, I can imagine that there's a lot of issues.
He's definitely a double-edged sword.
One to keep an eye on. But that also brings us back to Susie. Now, Susie, probably last week, the final bits of equipment you end up having here set up. The top room, you just end up finishing up putting in the heavy curtains, a false wall in order to give the impression that, well, the window even allows sunlight in the first place. An overt precaution, perhaps, but given the technologies you work with and the nature of your condition, certain amenities must be made. Well, you can be grateful for one thing, at the very least. The house is drafty enough, cool air, limited as it may be during the hottest days in San Jose, at least comes through. It's not exactly a cooling unit to end up keeping the hardware hit. Yeah, it's a temperature, but it might be enough for you to work with. But besides setup, what have you been doing these past few nights, Susie?
Securing everything.
I imagine last month's events have been very much a shot across the bow, something to keep you a little paranoid about. Justifiably so, I might add.
My eyes left that screen for 2 seconds, and then the hard drive tore itself apart. I am not taking any chances, especially with equipment that will eventually handle sensitive information. I'm going to run this ship so tight that it doesn't even trust me without proper authentication.
We've gone well past two-step authentication here, I can assure you of that. Now,
Zero trust architecture all the way.
That being said, is this entirely internal, or is there any connection to the outside with this?
There is a single connection to the outside, but it is encrypted end to end, bounced through several relays, and run through a VPN.
Wow.
I'm running so many layers of obfuscation over this thing that they're not going to be able to tell where I'm coming from, ever. At least so long as I have my way.
So long as you have your way. But then again, you know some of the basics of hacking, where most hacking has very little to do with code. And that's always the biggest risk, especially with the 6 you've been, or with the 5 you've been housed with.
Yes, which is why I'm not telling them anything. No information leaks. This system is a black box. I hold the key. No one else.
Let us hope that that'll be enough, at least to maintain this little piece of security. But, that being said, Elliot, Mr. Jones, I imagine this past month must have been very interesting for you. With the events with Thresher and their little contract finally settled, or at least to the satisfaction of the court, it seems, you have been gifted this small bit of domain. However, maybe when you were testing the bounds, you've come across a few warnings, shall we say. Still very much new to Kindred involvement, you're starting to learn the little bits of ciphers hidden within spray paint on walls or etched into signposts or hidden inside of flyers for concerts, just duct taped onto posts. And it definitely makes one clear message. Stay in your lane. But what have you been doing this past month to occupy, especially given the fruits of your labor occasionally can be found wandering the halls of this new abode that the Camarilla has presented to you?
Elliot has been spending a majority of his time when the beginnings of his evening going to work, as you do, to keep up his mask, talking with his touchstone every now and again, but the majority of his time has actually been spent with his sire, studying some of the occult knowledge so he can learn something new.
When it comes to the occult, things that should not be, the forbidden knowledge. As strange as it is, when dealing with the occult, almost everything you've read in books, you might find a loose facsimile. But everything doesn't operate. This is not Harry Potter. This isn't even Lovecraftian, though might be considered eldritch. To be taught the basic nature of the blood. To be taught that the will manifests itself into reality. That one can end up causing the blood to actually manifest not only properties unique to itself, especially in that of Clan Tremere, but that in all likelihood, that the magic that you wield is not that of the vampire, but an innate stolen gift, potentially from humanity itself. The very blood you feed upon, it's not just blood that you end up taking in, but a small hidden piece. The stuff that made the legends of Merlin. Wonder what it'd be to feast on one of his descendants if rumors are to be true that, in fact, he was real. All these little things, but then again, vampires were fiction to you not too long ago. With that being said, you gather at this New Haven. You can end up hearing, at this point, Susie is working upon something. You're pretty sure you hear the sounds of cables being dragged upstairs. Lord knows what she's been up to. She's locked in that room for almost this entire month. The domain is yours to wander. Your plots are your own. You are preparing. As rumor is that the court is discussing whether to formally accept you as neonates, or if the domain is simply another test. It is unusual for fledglings such as yourselves a loose coterie to be given, but then again, what if this entire proceeding has been normal?
Doc would come in and sit in the main meeting area, kind of waiting to see who passes by, kind of interested to see what's everyone been up to since this month of nothing.
You would see that the first person who passes you by is Susie, and she's got a bucket of just like a tub of technology stuff. Like, you see different bits and pieces. You see RAM modules, you see power supplies, you see cabling, you see hard drives, all sorts, just in a tub that she's carrying upstairs.
Miss Jones, out of curiosity, what have you been up to? You seemed very busy in that room.
You see that she kind of raises a finger to be like, wait a second. You see her disappear up the stairs. The sound of the tub being put on the floor, and then the sound of steps coming back as she comes back down the stairs. Yeah, I've been very busy.
I can only assume something with your systems.
I'm making sure what happened at Summer's apartment doesn't happen here.
Good. That's the last thing we need. And as you hear that, Lila's come walking in with a black cat just kind of draped over her shoulder.
Okay. First of all, I find the fucker who did that and I'm blowing him up. I mean that literally. I am going to blow him up with explosives.
I'd pay to see that.
No.
How could you blow someone up with anything other than explosives? Elliot would say, coming in from the front door.
You'd be amazed.
You poor sweet summer child.
I'd rather no one blows anyone up.
It's amazing what one can do with compressed air, you might think. Yes, Susie.
Compressed air, compressed water, compressed just about anything. A big enough gun. Either way, I'm not stopping until that person transitions from the general shape of a person through the stage of chunky salsa and into a fine pink and red mist.
Pretty sure all we need to do is ask Fishmonger to lariat someone again, and I think we might get the same result.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey. I'm like 90% sure he didn't mean to do that to quite that much damage to the guy. Like 90% sure. Accounting for uncertainty. You didn't mean to do that to that guy, did you, Fish? And she
Is he here?
she looks to wherever fishmonger might be in the room.
Yeah, Fifthmonger came in from the back door. He'd actually been tending to some of the plants in the greenhouse. It's a small meditative thing. Allows him some time to think and some alone time, I guess. So he's got some muddy boots and dirty pants.
Fair enough.
And he'll say, I only wanted to stop Brian.
Well, you certainly stopped him.
To be fair, you did succeed. That isn't in question. You certainly succeeded at your task.
I mean, I'm
It's
sure
just-
Brian has forgiven you. Mostly.
You just also kind of turned his face into much less of a face.
I think
You
it's
say
more
that
he's
as-
afraid of.
Go ahead.
I think it's more that he's afraid of what might happen again. He's forgiven.
Hey, if I was in his position, I'd be too.
Right?
You're scary, man. Like, that strike's scary.
Would not want to be on the other.
Yeah, I imagine that probably wouldn't be the kindest thing in the world to be on the receiving end of.
Anyway, I have a bit of news. Not
Yes?
anything huge, but a bit concerning. So, looking into the domain that we have, there are two other domains that are connected to it. One is Temptation's End, which we have met before.
Right.
We might still be on rocky terms with them, I am not too sure. But the other, which is a bit more concerning, but wanted, is we are connected to the sheriff's domain. And in looking into both of them, we actually took part of the sheriff's and Temptation's End. So there might be a bit of animosity more towards.
I mean, that would explain the. My translations are still a little new, but those special little vampire messages that are hidden everywhere. I keep seeing the phrase, and I quote, "Stay in your lane."
It wouldn't be a phrase, just to be clear, Elliot. It would be simply, for instance, you might see a weird stencil that showcases a car drifting into another, much like warning signs you would normally see on roads, except this one depicts one car running the other one off the road for not getting out of the way. But you would end up recognizing perhaps that one of the symbols is used in, for instance, a lapel pin of a particular member of the Camarilla, something like that. Nothing is directly quoted. Nothing should be clear enough that an average person can take a picture and get the message.
So we have the sheriff and pack led by Mr. Sanguine Fruit himself, I think.
Sanguine fruit?
Marcelo.
It definitely seemed like he was the leader.
Yeah.
And he is a fruit.
That he
And
is.
I don't mean like a homosexual, I mean like a literal walking fruit. He looks like an eggplant. yes, I have been very busy making sure that, yeah, we don't get compromised like what happened at Summers. Note, if any of you go into that room without my express permission, or you're in there and you touch anything, I will be feeding you into the nearest wood chipper. There is no exceptions.
Do you even have a wood
Curiosity.
chipper?
Curiosity killed the
Yes.
cat.
I have a wood chipper. Very good for fertilizer.
You might actually recall one that was placed in the back near the shed, near the greenhouse. You
Maybe
do, in
that's
fact,
what
have a wood chipper.
It's for making mulch.
Mm-hmm.
What that mulch is made of, you decide.
I don't think I want to know at this point.
Let's hope it's not used any. So
Yeah, let's hope. Single rule, easy to follow. Just don't break it. Real simple.
I personally do not intend to. You are the most knowledgeable on technology, other than I believe Miss Love.
Yeah, Summer. Summer's a hardware gal, though. I'm more of a software gal, and trust me, with the way that I've got everything secured, she wouldn't be able to touch the hardware.
Hmm.
I've got this shit rigged with enough redundancy and emergency wiping procedures that would make even the NSA blush.
Good to know. So, I personally want to take a walk around the domain to see what we're actually dealing with. Would anyone like to join me in that?
I think I'll join you. I could use a break from my studies, and work has been a bit stressful.
Hmm.
Yeah, actually, I will also join. I need to get out of the house. I'm going stir crazy.
Ooh,
I'll
stir
go along as
crazy?
well.
I thought you loved being inside houses.
Susie's slow turns. You know, I don't miss the sun. I was always a nocturnal person when I was alive. But there's this thing called air with humidity in it on the skin. So that you don't, dry out into a prune. Because I need to run my environments very cold and very dry due to all of the computer equipment that's within them. Or, the chemicals. So, whilst I very much like being inside, because it means when everyone else leaves, I'm on my own where I feel happiest, what makes you think that I don't need to go out there? I
Because
like being
everything you need
inside.
is in here, other than the blood.
Yeah, I could change that. Not going to. Definitely could. But here's the thing. I like inside. I'm not an agoraphobe. So, anyone else coming along on this little venture?
If it keeps a couple of
Don't
you out
think
of
that-
trouble, then I'm going along.
I don't
And
think it would be
particularly, she
wise
looks at
for me
Elliot.
to go.
What did I do?
I'd like to do something before you leave, because I actually kind of plumb forgot. Since this is a new night, I'm going to ask for rouse checks across the board. Let's see on how you're all feeling. Maybe you all want to do a bit of hunting. Lila, you get a little bit hungrier.
Yeah.
Doc's a little hungrier. Elliot's a little hungrier. Fishmonger's a little hungrier. Susie. For all the work you've been putting in, you're apparently the only one who hasn't riled themselves up a little bit. Or maybe it's something else you did throughout the week that pushed it a bit more. Can I have everybody's hunger score real quick?
4.
Ugh.
3.
3, 3,
Three.
3, 2. Lila,
I'm planning on going hunting anyway.
you're chomping at the bit. You know, it's in the nature of the gangrel to need to run a bit. To be able to hunt. Not like most others do, though your preferences may be different. Most gangrel feel the need to feel the chase. So with that in mind, I am going to ask who. Susie said they were going to do some hunting, but is anybody else?
Philos.
Yeah, Fishmonger will go hunting. He's not really good with the scenic tourist part because people might spot him. But he'll go hunting.
Yeah, Elliot probably would have tried doing that as well.
All right. Now, are you hunting as a group or individual? You hunt as a group.
Individual.
Okay. If you hunt as individuals, this will take less time. If you hunt as a group, then this is going to take more time. So, with that in mind,
I'll need to split anyway due to hunting style.
fair. Now, we are going to end up understanding that Willow Glen is not exactly what one would call well stocked, not for your purposes. So, I would like for you to end up rolling me a feeding roll for whoever's going, and if anybody's being assisted, do declare who you are assisting. The difficulty is going to be 5+.
Yep, because that's our chase. This is chase 2 domain.
I think Doc's gonna feed by himself.
Yeah, Lila's gonna be feeding on her own.
Elliot will probably go to work and see if he can't get some blood bags.
And I'll be going on my own.
Okay, then let's start from the top. Fishmonger?
Ooh.
Fishmonger, I'm willing to give you that.
Oh.
But the cost is there will be an unexpected encounter on your domain.
Okay.
At a time of my choosing.
I'll take that.
Okay. Let us continue on down the line then. Miss Burke? Miss Burke. That's 2 successes. That's nowhere near the requirement. Now, I'm going to allow that to succeed at a cost. The cost is that this particular attempt at hunting has gotten a little bit messy and a little bit loud.
I'll take it.
Very well then. Would you please roll me a frenzy check, given that you're at Hunger 4? Or, because you are a gangrel, would you choose to end up running with it and reduce the penalty to your, well, particular predilections? Join the beast of this.
You said it's going to be loud and messy anyway, so I'm just going to roll with it.
Very well then. With that being said, given that you have given the fact that you are Gangrel, you will manifest something. Now, we're not going to subdue a physical trait. We're going to swap it with a mental one. And I'm going to give you two features that can manifest. Either drop in manipulation or drop in intelligence.
Drop in manipulation. Let me double check your character sheet just to make sure I have this accurate. Susie.
Yes.
Or sorry. No, actually no. We'll
Lila.
go down the line and we'll jump back to Lila. But I'm just
Okay.
gonna keep that in mind.
Just as a note, I am for this hunt. I'm going to aid myself by using obfuscate
Very well then.
because my hunting roll does specifically allow for things like that. That is 6.
That is
Sorry.
6.
Yep, that is 6.
Susie, how much are you taking?
Just a dot.
And let's continue down the line to Doc. Then we'll do Elliot.
Okay.
Doc, I'm going to end up allowing you to succeed at a cost. The cost is 1 aggravated willpower damage.
You know what? Sure.
Very well then. And let's go to Elliot. Elliot, you can look at... There we go. Alright, you got 2, 3. Okay, we require 5. You don't have enough normal dice to reroll, so I'm going to give you the same option. Except this time it's going to be a little bit different. I'm going to give you a succeed at a cost. I'm going to give this roll to you for free. However, I'm also able to steal and you give somebody an automatic failure. Doesn't matter. You don't know who on any check I would normally call. You might not even realize I just made you fail a roll. Or something might be unfair. You might not even notice it. It might not even be you. But somebody's going to get punished for this. Or you can go hungry. No skin off my undead nose.
You cut out there. But yeah, you cut out there, but it sounded like you weren't going to take it.
No, I can't take that one in good conscience.
I'm glad you still have one. Well,
For now.
that being said, let's go to Lila. Lila. It's one of those older houses. Not fancy, you know. You can see the old kind of faux Victorian steel work that ends up making the great 2-story house. Should be easy enough to be able to end up getting up through the drainage pipe. You try and be quiet about it. You try. But when you end up crawling in through the window, after all, who would suspect being able to get in through a window on the second story? Thankfully, your sire's recommendation, practicing your athleticism, has come to bear fruit. There you end up seeing it. Your prey. It's dark in there, but it really doesn't matter. What you do see is the calm up and down of slow, unconscious breathing. And as you start to sink your fangs into this victim shrouded in dark, something inside gives. It's predatory. It's hungry. It wants to end up consuming everything, and you run with it. By the time you really reconnoiter yourself and satiate your bloodlust, a light flicks on. You remember screaming. You remember screaming because you turn, you caked in the blood, also spread all over the silly clown wallpaper. The remains are more of a pool of organs. Such gentle ribs they have. You see a man in his 30s and a woman behind, probably mid-20s. She's screaming as they walk into a nightmare. What do you do?
Going to try to knock them out and then get out the window.
Alright. What's your strength brawl?
Strength Brawl is a total of 5 die.
Would you please roll that for me? It's not too difficult. They're not.
I dropped down to 0 hunger before then, right?
That is
To
correct.
the frenzy. Okay. Cool. That gives me everything.
You're not sure if you knocked them out. You do know that something cracked, though. Fist meets bone. You heard the drywall give way when one of them, you're not sure which, as you're more in a frenzied state at this point, or very close to it. But for once, you and the beast are running along in pairs like a one-woman pack all onto her own. Just you and the thing inside. You break your way through the window. The glass serves little resistance, and while it might cause small cuts and lacerations to something that doesn't bleed unless it wants to, it's little more than an inconvenience. The landing stuck. I would like a wits larceny, because I think there's something you might not be accounting for, but maybe Lila would. Lila, you have just enough wits about you to not open your hands. See, when you're dead, You don't make oils anymore. If you were to sweat, it would come out as a viscous ooze. But without sweat, without a liquid, you don't leave fingerprints. So when you end up landing on the concrete, you gotta roll into it on the shoulder, ducking your way through the back alley. It's something thrilling. You like this sensation. You are full. You took down a calf. You are running through the street, back lanes, trying to avoid major streets. And there is an excitement in you. So fresh. This is what it is. You're the strong, and they're the weak. They are meant to be consumed. And it's good to get out. You've been packed in tight with this absurd little hunting ground of yours. And at least you got to end up taking advantage of it. At least you had the capability of stalking prey. See, most kindred, they like to run in the streets. What do they call them? Alley cats. But for you, it's something more primal. The ambush predator. The thing that catches you unawares. But even your beast can grow bored with stagnant prey. This is what you needed. A reminder of what you really are. How it really is. But you can make it in a heartbeat. But you do feel a shift inside. Not emotionally. Quite physically. What's that physical trait you're starting to manifest? That curse of the gangrel?
I'd say probably your ears are getting just maybe a little more pointed.
Like the early stages of a werewolf transformation, if you believe the cinemas. Just a little bit longer. Making your face and features just a little more sharper. More predatory. More you. And damn does it feel good. Feels good. Like being stuffed in a suit all day and finally getting to slip into some pajama pants. That's how comfortable this is. You like it. You might be riding this high all night. Of course, you're going to have some explaining to do, given the fact that your new color seems to be that of crimson red, along with the organs to match. That was still attached to you. But, hey, isn't it worth it for just a little bit of a night out?
At the moment, I'm inclined to agree.
Lalo, what are you doing at this moment as you're feeling the high?
Probably running through, like you said, the back alleys. But also trying to find a fire escape to get up higher. He wants to be above the streets.
Makes sense. Maybe you're a little bit more cat-like in that regard. Large cats tend to enjoy high rises, especially if they can drag their prey up. Might explain why you enjoyed the second story window. Just something that's natural to you. You get up top, climbing, hearing the clanking of steel as you end up going through. As silent as you may be, there's something that's just good about moving like this. Getting on the corner of a building, a small apartment block, you can look down at them. All those silly metal boxes going from side to side. Canned meat, ready to be opened. And you feel right with yourself. This is good. This is right. You're full. You're complete. Dear God, you hope this feeling never ends. Let me make a private roll here. Fear. Pain. The added spice of life. It tastes almost innocent. Prey not knowing what's about to happen or what's happening until you go in for the kill. The only shame is it's a faint aftertaste. Kind of like, I don't know, tasting something else in your fries because somebody forgot to change the oil on the fryer. You knew that other thing would have been more delicious, but the taste is still there. From up top, you look down at the city, drenched in the remains of the kill. What's going on through your mind, Lila?
She's enjoying the thrill of being up at that high. Watching everyone beneath her. And then she'll look toward the alley. And just for more thrill, and let me see. She is going to pop Weight of the Feather and then jump off the top of the building into the alleyway to continue running.
Yeah, this is what it means. Even gravity is optional for you. As you drop down, you wait. Maybe it's a little bit of the thrill. Like popping a parachute. You drop down quickly, but you know exactly when to pull the ripcord, and it's just an eighth of a second before you do so. You land with no weight, just momentum, enough to crouch down low to kick off the ground before you start running. Where are you headed, Lila? Where does this apex predator run off to now?
Back to the mansion to at least get cleaned up. And who knows where the night will take her.
Who knows, indeed. Back at the mansion. Maybe you all gather up. Everything seems in sorts except Lila, who's coming through the back way that goes off to the garden. You can see her caked in red,
Are you okay?
I don't suppose you are playing with red dye.
Never been better. She's going to ignore the comment from Doc and start heading up to her room. Without so much more than her answer to Fish.
Yes, that means that's not her blood.
No, it is
Well, I
not.
suppose I might have a new customer at my place of work tomorrow.
Potentially.
Now, I actually have a question for everyone before I describe where I am in this little situation. Lila, you're already gone, so this is for everyone else. What's your wits awareness pools?
Four.
How do you tell what the pool is?
Just the total number of dots between wits and awareness. So how many dice you would roll if you were to roll wits awareness? 4, and 4.
Average
Okay.
across the board.
Yeah, so none of you are gonna see this. You're just going to hear her as she speaks up. Yep, that's about as much as I would expect. Best to leave her alone. She's probably in the afterglow.
Where
I'd
the
creepy
fuck are
to
you coming
describe
from?
feeding like that.
And Elliot, you would feel a tap on your shoulder.
Jesus fucking Christ! What the fuck?
Boo.
Do I hear him cussing from where I'm at?
I'd imagine
Oh,
he
he's not
responded
being
fairly
quiet.
loud.
And all they'd probably hear back is a bit of a laugh at his sudden, outburst.
It is amusing.
Yeah, given how she was covered, she was probably the closest that any one of us will ever get to being full, at least for a little bit.
I take it everyone else didn't have too much luck.
Oh, I did just fine. I don't know about the rest of you.
Yeah, not everyone's such a messy eater, Elliot.
My feeding was fine. I just hope
Yeah, and I bet she's on
They
top of the
clean-
world after doing the equivalent of coming her brains out.
Again, that's really creepy, Susie.
It's the truth.
Can we not refer to eating food as something sexual?
It's literally better than sex.
Okay,
There
personal
is.
experience?
I am just being prompt and forthcoming in my observations of our shared condition. You know, for the benefit of the two medical professionals here.
Yes. I'm sure with your winning personality, you've had quite a bit of experience in that field to make the comparison.
your observation is
Fish, you wound me. You think I can't get creative? Shame that. Real shame.
with what we have seen so far. It is your creativity that is concerning.
Oh, certainly. You should be very concerned. Just as I am concerned about the rest of you. We should all be able to work together in a professional manner. But truth be told, there should always be a healthy dose of caution whenever we do anything together, regardless of what it is.
Of course.
Right now, I get the feeling we're not gonna get to do anything.
I mean, I don't know right now. The way that she came in covered in blood says that there's probably a body somewhere. Hopefully, it's just
Clear
the one.
comment.
We've got a mess headed our way, and we're gonna have to clean it up. Because the way
Perhaps.
that she's floating on cloud nine at the moment, she's too far inside her own head to do shit. So,
Better to take the initiative.
yeah, except I'm not going and looking for someone who, as I described earlier, has been turned into chunky salsa.
No, you don't have to specifically look. Even though it is recent, people can hear things. And with how much she was covered, there might have been. Oh, I don't know. Screaming, potentially. I
Hope
don't
that
know
the
how.
police weren't called. Because that would be bad if they were.
That is my main concern.
Oh,
Probably were.
they probably were. I'm gonna go run some electronic warfare. I'll talk to you guys later. And you see her literally march inside and upstairs, probably to do just that, running electronic obfuscation on Lila's little indiscretion.
Now,
She's just a ray of sunshine.
now, let's delve into that a little bit. How can you help in that regard?
So, the first thing I can do is listen for the spread of information. We're talking police scanners, we're talking social media, we're talking, reports and things of that nature. Because if the police were called, it's only going to be a matter of time before something pops up on the scanner. You know, a cruiser was dispatched to X, Y, and Z because of some grisly murder scene.
Roll me a. Let's do this as a wits technology.
Wit tech.
And while you do have the setup, I don't believe you actually have the points put into your haven for this kind of thing. So you're not going to receive any bonuses on that. But you do
No.
have the capabilities to do so.
Yeah, I would. Would my specialty apply? I have a specialty in electronics.
Yes.
Okay. You know what? Because I fed, I'll even Alice of Blood for this too. Get a little hungry. I get a little hungry.
You do get a little hungrier. I believe that puts you back at 2.
Back at 2. Lila's gonna owe me. Oh, no. I'm spending a willpower.
That is a bestial crit.
Re-rolling that 10 and the 2 fails. Alright, so that'll be 1, 2, 3, 5. That'll just be 5. No crit.
Almost as soon as you end up plugging in, there is definitely a lot of chatter. Supposedly homicide. 12-year-old boy. Father accosted. Wife's in a panic. Multiple squad cars are now heading into the area. They're coordinating it off. You do have access to the cameras that would have been in the street. You start scrubbing them. And outside of one very, very different, or one very small ticket, not many cameras, but that one ticket showcases a figure in shadow somewhere in the alleys. You choose better than to take your chances. You do what you can to re-loop the video. Should be only a few seconds, but hopefully with a bit of padding, you don't end up noticing anything.
Loop that way, loop that like that. Cut, merge. And yeah, that's about as good as we're gonna get.
You send it off. Do what you can to race your tracks. It's not difficult to do if you know what you're doing. Specialist like yourself, Susie, certainly can. That at least gets rid of the digital trace for what you can do from this side.
Physical trace. Yeah, I ain't going near a crime scene. Not after what happened a month ago. At least, not as I am now. It would take me too long to get over there with cleaning equipment. Even longer to blank memories. Because I figured out over the month that I could do that now. Don't know when that little thing popped up, but apparently that's a thing that I can do. But, yeah, I've done as much as I can from over here. Cleaning that up after the fact is gonna need to be something left to someone else. She does what you... Oh, go ahead.
No. That being said, let's go back to Lila. Now, Lila, you've been in your room. You've been just kind of basking in it for a bit. But then after the high kind of dries down, the bass is no longer screaming in your ear. It's not even a whisper. For once, you're left with your own thoughts, unclouded, untempted, full. What are you doing right now?
She would have thrown the blood-soaked clothes away for later burning, perhaps, and attempted to start scrubbing the blood off of her skin as the horror that she just killed a 12-year-old sinks in. And she can't even look at herself in the mirror once she realizes what she had done.
Even as the water drains out and you try and get... blood just doesn't come out of your hair. As you grate your fingers through your hair, you can feel your ears, you can feel the sides of your face, something more angular. The ears have elongated just a bit. These predatory features, you can't look at yourself in the mirror, but when you close your eyes, you just imagine. Actually, you don't have to imagine, you can see it. Blood all over that silly clown wallpaper. Blood just going down the drain, watered into that pale pink. And even as you try and dry yourself off, it's like you can still feel it on your skin. Kind of like when you use moisturizer, even when you rubbed it in, you can still feel it, you can still smell it. It's not there, but you can still feel it. But clean clothes, good shower, nothing more than a plastic bag with bloodied rags. You There's still a party that wants to smile. It was good to run as a pack of one. Some twisted part of you knows that.
She'll set the bag just inside her bedroom door to deal with later on. Probably sometime before the sun rises. And start heading back downstairs.
Before you do, you put the bag by the bedroom door, and you hear
She's just going to open the door.
and you'd see Susie standing there, headset kind of sitting along her shoulders, much like I have a visual aid for this. She's got it sitting like this, cups up, so she can still hear it. And over you can hear the slight din of police reports and things coming through it.
I assume I owe you for starting to clean this up at least.
I'll put it on your tab. And she simply turns and walks back downstairs. And you can see in her eyes as she turns to leave, there's something there. This look of what the fuck did you do? It's not so much judgmental as it is kind of understanding. You heard how she talked about people in general downstairs in relatively graphic detail about, people being turned from people into chunky salsa and then into red mist. And that is certainly not a way that a normal person would describe people. People with thoughts and feelings and lives and perspectives much outside their own. But yeah, there is something there in that look that is a mixture of more knowing than she would ever care to admit, and maybe a little, just the tiniest twinge of disappointment.
Fair enough.
But at the very least, you could tell this doesn't even require an inside tech. You could tell that she tried to hide that tried her best to hide that from you. And that she tried to keep things at the very least prompt and professional when it came to cleaning things up. So she was trying her best not to project.
Yeah. She's going to follow Susie downstairs and just... I appreciate you doing that.
Look, after what happened at Summers, I'm not taking chances on anything technological related. If I have to scrub hours of camera footage, then I have to scrub hours of camera footage. Thing is, the more work I have to do, the more people are going to owe me. I think that's more than fair.
It is indeed.
I cover your ass, and
Hmm.
I'll make damn sure you cover mine.
Oh, yeah. Certainly, oh, yeah.
And yeah, Susie's gonna head back downstairs and back out to the others. If they're still out there, of course. Otherwise, she's just going to sit in the main room.
Doc would have started to hit kind of curious to see what all is being talked about.
Oop, was that a question to Susie?
No, he's just proclaiming that he's coming in. He's curious as to what's being discussed at this point.
Oh,
Oh.
no, Doc hit it out to kind of get the layout of the.
Okay. So you're
Right,
you're
yeah.
still out. Okay. I misinterpreted.
My bad.
No, it's okay. I would like you to roll me a resolve streetwise, please.
Okay.
Also add +1 because of lane. As you are
Okay.
talking local.
All right.
Very good, Doc. Very good. 5 successes. Doc, this isn't the historic district in that regard. Out here is not what one would call brimming with gangland violence. Not the kind of world you're used to anyway. Willow Glen is relatively quiet and likes to stay that way. However, there is some chatter. Few tidbits. The first one is apparently on how police are gathering and cording off a house and the entire block around it. Apparently, they pulled out sniffer dogs and trying to end up tracking what they can. Not sure what went wrong, but it's definitely got a strong police presence. The other is apparently a woman left to her death, yet no body has been found. Rumors, mostly. Perhaps somebody just didn't realize what they woke up to. Maybe somebody just got a glimpse of something or wasn't sure what they saw. And the rumors of a figure bandaged and wrapped. They're not sure who they are, but they have managed to end up coming around once or twice. No one's got a good look at them. But from words being said, she definitely holds herself different, not from around here. Dresses weird, in more of a dress you would see in the movies. But bandages wrapped around their figure, mixed hair, You might have thought it was rainbow hair, like they had it dyed different colors, but no, different. Like her hair is maybe shaggy and thin, different colors. A little bit of blonde there, a little bit of brunette there, a little bit of black there. Sometimes even dyed. It seems to be all over the place like a mess.
With that description, would I know anyone that would fit that?
Roll me intelligence plus politics, but this is highly unlikely.
Okay. I'll rouse to increase.
Getting a little hungrier there, Doc. Gotta be careful where you push it.
Yes. Hmm.
3 successes. You do have enough to make the most out of a willpower roll, and there's no chance of a bestial crit if you want. How far you want to
Sure.
push this, Doc?
I'll push it a little bit more. Kind of see where my information lies.
Or will do it. Maybe you remember back in the church, back in Elysium, when you were first gathered around to be presented to the court. It was very hard to see most of the figures as the spotlights were quite literally on you. A presentation for you to be seen by all others, but for you not to see who they are. But you remember one figure stood a little bit behind Fishmonger, a figure who was draped in antiquated clothing, whose figure was that of almost like a model. But something was wrong with her eyes. She was draped with cloth bandages. You remember specifically the staples. Clumps of hair forcefully stapled into her own scalp. It was hideous, a parody of things that we would consider beautiful. What was her name? You can't think of it.
I might have to ask Fish about this. Kind of curious on why they would be poking around kid. Going to after kind of hearing this chatter and vaguely seeing the corned off block, gonna kind of listen around a bit, a bit on the edge of there, kind of see what the police are talking about. Kind of curious on what else they might have gotten up to tonight.
Well, that's going to take... I'm going to jump back to everybody else. As you can imagine, gathering all this information takes time.
Mm-hmm.
And I would hate to blitz through an entire night before we manage to get back, so let's jump back to the Coterie Haven for a brief moment. Elliot, you get a ring on your phone. It's your work phone, and you can definitely see work is calling in.
He's definitely going to be answering that.
When you do, you're informed that of an address that you need to get to. It's a real mess.
I'll be right there. Give me about 30 minutes.
Funny thing is, it'll probably take you a grand total of 10. Pretty close by. Probably doesn't take you more than a few seconds to put 2 and 2 together.
Would there be any other members of the coterie around him at the moment?
Would there?
If you get the call in the mansion, Fish
That's where
is
he would be.
downstairs with you as Susie and Lila are coming down. So
Yep.
So you all see him remove the phone. Fuck.
And so phase 2 of cleanup begins.
I'll be back. Let's see what we got.
Yeah,
For what
man.
it's worth, Elliot, I'm sorry.
Don't apologize to me yet. I don't know what the fuck I've gotten into. At that, he's leaving to go to work.
And once Elliot is gone and out of earshot, Susie just takes a glimpse to Lila. You're not sorry. Not completely, anyway.
Look, there's
Fish is just going to interrupt that and say, "Are you sure you're okay, Lila? If you want to talk about it,
I don't think
always
there's much to
available."
talk about when you kill a child, Fish. And you go to
Yep.
knock out the parents, and you have no idea whether you killed them or not, and then you spend the next few minutes enjoying the freedom afterward?
Riding on cloud 9. Yeah, I wasn't joking when I said that when this stuff happens, it's like it's better than sex. It's literally the most liberating thing that you could ever feel. And yet it's also
You've-
simultaneously horrifying that something so horrid could make you feel so good.
And you've killed someone before feeding that.
A
Susie.
complete accident, but yes.
Haven't we all?
My first
Not
my first
everyone
feeding.
has.
My first feeding was like that.
As was mine. Things get messy. And then there's that
Inevitably,
side
there
that
will
just
be.
enjoys it too much.
Yep. And it doesn't give a shit. Men, women, kids. If you're kind, to the personification of the id, something now enhanced beyond all belief thanks to the nature of the condition, doesn't know, doesn't care to. Just sees food.
Fish, there's something that you, obviously, to most humans, even that little bit of humanity inside you all, find this absolutely abhorrent. Anathema. But to you, I imagine this hits harder than anything. Because you're asking yourself probably right now, what if? I think it's important to explore that, isn't it? What if, just now, what you're hearing is confession to the same figures you would have seen over grieving over your recent upturned grave? There are things like you out there, fishmonger. There are things out there like you.
It's part of the reason why he watches over his family, too. Wants to make sure they're safe.
And are they ever really safe out there, knowing what you know? Is ignorance really bliss?
I think it's important not to look away from what you've done, Lila. I think it would be helpful in preventing it the next time.
Funny. My sire says otherwise. For us, something like that, it's better to just let go. Not fight it. There's a part of me that's inclined to agree. I certainly don't like killing. I
We're
certainly
not
don't
always going to
want
be
to.
around to pull you out of your messes.
I don't expect you to be. I'd rather not get to that point.
Exactly. So use this as a learning experience. And next time, perhaps you can, like I said, prevent this from happening again.
I wanna
Hmm?
skip to a different scene.
Yeah, I have something to add to that, but I'll wait until after we do this thing.
Elliot, we're gonna time skip a bit. I'm sure you can imagine that I'm not going to describe in intricate detail the details of your profession when it comes down to what has happened. But you've been in the bedroom, the one with the silly clown wallpaper that's stained. You've seen the remains, had to handle the remains. After everything's been chalked and notated and photographed. Grieving parents outside, one in an ambulance, strapped to a gurney but begging not to be pulled away. tears and cries of rage. Curious neighbors, or maybe ones who just want to help. Pain. Another day at the office for you as you step out. There's a co-worker of yours. This is something that most people shouldn't have to handle alone, and there he is, just off the side. You can see his hand shaking with a cigarette in it. Hasn't been ashed in probably minutes. It's halfway burnt, and he probably hasn't taken a drag off of it since he lit it. Just staring at the floor. You're almost ready to head up. Oh, go on.
He would walk over. That's not normal. Just things we see in this job, right?
I've been at this shit for 16 years, and I have never... He realizes as the ash crumbles over his hand, he quickly flicks it, realizing he's almost burnt the inside of his fingers. This shit just doesn't get any easier. I mean, statement says that was a person. That was no fucking person.
It really wasn't. Jesus fuck, I've never seen something that bad. I've been here for what 5 years? Fuck was that?
I don't know. I have seen some screwed up shit. When I started this job, I was in LA. You know? There we saw some people torn to ribbons, hung up on goddamn pier, but this is...
They're kids, right?
Yeah, don't get any easier.
We'll find who did this. We always do. Eventually.
Ella, can I ask you to do me a favor?
What?
You take this one. I can't. I
He
can't.
pats his back. Don't worry.
Are you
I'll
using
take
Blush
care
of
it.
Life right now, Elliot? Or have you roused the blood to make yourself warm, to be able to blush, to be able to have that warmth of hand when you place it upon a mortal? Or is what they're going to feel that dead that you're becoming almost
Yeah,
familiar
I think
with?
I'll rouse to do this. Just let me get my glasses back out.
Okay.
It
Elliot.
does not work.
No, it works. It just costs you.
You just get hungrier.
That hunger. Elliot, what hunger are you at? Okay, Elliot, this is going to be really tough for you. You pat them on the shoulder. And there's a part of you that feels your fangs wanting to extend. It would be so easy. He's defenseless. He's right there. And somebody left all those tasty leftovers they're currently shoveling into the back of a car right now, being brought over to your place. You know, this person sees it remains of a horrible, monstrous act. And there's a part of you that might have felt the same way, but inside there is something worse. Something that looks at it and just says, you know what? I wonder what that tastes like. We need it, Elliot. We need it. We're not going to be able to do this. And you remember, it's probably better to get it off now. Just, take him a little bit. Make him a little sleepy. You don't need to take too much, just a little bit. After all, he's leaving you with the remains. Oh, maybe he'll just sleep it off. Going to bed. We can put him to bed. We can put them all to bed, Elliot, right now. Come on. Your hand's on his shoulder, Elliot, trying to comfort him. But the beast inside is whirling. You're almost drooling with anticipation. And I think that's where we're going to take a quick little break. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, as we continue this episode of San Jose by Night, City of Glass. Elliot, they wheeled in the body. Sheets placed over it, still sealed in the body bag, but there's been extra precaution to hide this from the public, especially given the means of the victim. Little more than a child, preteen. But it's expected for you to end up performing your job as coroner. Worse still, it doesn't take much for you to end up putting two and two together. You seen the other portion of this remains all over Lila when she came into the Coterie Haven. But now you're in that cold, sterile environment. That chemical smell. The coldness of the floor. The steel. The saws and scalpels. The the photography equipment. The small doors. It holds so many bodies. All mysteries to be solved by San Jose's finest. Yet, that's not the thing that's coming to mind right now. It's that hunger, the smell, the blood. That you may be hesitant to even go near that body, to do your duty to the city. Then a part of you has to know. Does this body have any evidence that can tie it back to the Coterie? Back to kindred? Therein lies the problem. Your specialty is to hide these sorts of things. Well, at least that's the proposed reason for you being embraced. But you never probably thought that it would come to this. And then to realize on how hungry you are when you do it. By all means, Elliot. Are you gonna do your job or not?
Job to do and mystery to solve. He's gonna do it. At least try.
Alright, Elliot. I'll forego the gory details. At least for now. But I want you to roll me a resolve an investigation.
So investigation result.
That is correct. And I'm also going to need for you to roll me a frenzy check when you do after you do so.
Would either the forensic science or biology specialties come into play?
Forensic science is under your academics. Am I correct? Or is that under your medicine?
Academics.
They wouldn't normally come into play because I'm not asking for that roll. I'm asking for investigation right now. This is you trying to piece things together before you know how to describe them. 2 successes. Now can I get your frenzy check, please? Yep, your unspent willpower and your humanity bonus. If you go down to the bottom of your page, click frenzy, type in your current unspent willpower specifically, not your maximum, your unspent, and your current level of humanity.
So that would be 6 and 7.
Yep. Elliot, there's a part of your being that does want to do the unthinkable right now. But you're stalwart. That professionalism comes in. This is a crime. This is an unspeakable crime, and it's more important to end up focusing on the evidence. You are able to ascertain one point. That there are... While everything else is ripped to shreds, you can see the biting. While you can see imprints that you would know clearly being fangs. There are also dental imprints. Those need to be destroyed, lest they be counted as evidence. You can't allow them to know that vampires are even a possibility in this city. This might have been sick. And unfortunately, no justice will come if you do this. But you need to bury this deep. You already remember what happened just with you playing around with this just a month back. If they catch wind of what this is, they will investigate, you have no doubt. The kind of hell that they might bring upon you has been stuff whispered to you time and time again. The Second Inquisition.
As much as it goes against everything that he was taught when it comes to his job, he's gonna temper with the evidence and try to remove at least the ability to tell it was a vampire.
Now, I'm going to give you a choice here. You can give me a wits medicine, or you can give me a wits larceny roll.
I'll go wits medicine.
Wits medicine? Please do.
No modifiers?
You would get +1 for your specialty. Five. Very few would be able to see through it. The sad truth of it is that at the end of the day, a body is little more than meat. Not much different than that of a butcher shop. And that means it can be tenderized, it can be malleable. You can mask the cut with little more than a little bit of pressure. You're trying to be thorough. Or at least something that would easily qualify as an easy mistake to make in the heat of the moment. Maybe you just got so angry at the idea that this would happen to someone so young. Maybe you're just forced to do this alone. Partner had to bail on you, and that was just too much for you to take. You don't really care what the excuses are. But when you go through the body and start taking the photographs, you're very careful about the angles, the documentation, impacts. You're saying inconclusive, though you suspect a knife was used. You and I both know that's a lie. But it's what's got to go on the report. You mask it to the best of your ability, to the best of your professional knowledge. Maybe you made a mistake. Who knows? Guess you'll only find that out when you're in the middle of investigation. Maybe the chief will end up bringing you in and start asking about the evidence, and you suddenly hear a voice. Ah? Qu'est-ce que c'est ça? Oh, is this the Monsieur Jones I have heard so much about?
So, did I hear that right? That someone's in here with me.
Yes. Somebody who wasn't here not more than a second ago.
He's going to slowly turn to see who it is. Very confused.
Oh. Sorry. At this point, you see a figure. She's bandaged. Her skin looks like it's rotten. Like the kind like that one person you pulled from the sewer a couple of years back. After the body was allowed to drain, it became sickly. See the bandages covering their bits of their face, holding it together, some wrapped tight around the throat and the waist as though to accent the figure. She's very lean, filthy. You can see strands of hair hanging over her face and down her shoulders, but it's not hers. They're clumps of scalp, ripped clean out and then stapled into her own. Looks like maybe a hardware stapler. She holds herself in a very, well, almost regal fashion. She has a smile on her face, and you can see those teeth are yellow and jagged. Bonsoir, Monsieur Jones.
Good evening, ma'am. What you are doing now?
Oh, I was never here, Monsieur Jones. I don't know what you're talking about. I just wanted to come and end up seeing if the words were true. Look at this. Oh, my. Tisk, tisk, tisk. I am almost offended. It's like not allowing wine to ripen. She looks at you and you can see it in her eyes, those eyes that weren't quite right back in Elysium when you were presented in front of the court, and you recognize then this figure, Camarilla. Perhaps one of the Nosferatu, or something worse. You're not sure, but there is something sick about her. She doesn't so much as flinch. She's more amused than anything else. How can somebody find amusement in this?
Truly a travesty. But is there anything I can do to assist you today, ma'am?
So polite. Your sire must have taught you well. Little lick. I am simply performing a examination, much like you, just on a different corpse. So silent. Oh. Was it your cat? Was a cat that got your tongue, or did it just get nailed onto a board somewhere?
That's a good question. Currently, I am going over in my head if I missed anything to cover this up.
Oh, to cover what up? She looks inquisitive as she kind of grabs hold of the clipboard with all the scrollings, just as though casually flicking through it. Though it's very clear she's not reading it, she's flourishing.
What was that?
Oh, I thought you were speaking and I couldn't hear you.
Oh, I was. I guess for some
Now
of
I
my
can hear you.
Got it.
It broke up quite
Gotcha.
a bit.
A wizard never reveals his secrets, as the old verbiage goes.
I always thought that was a magician.
Magic at one point was considered wizardry, even if it was a simple card trick.
You are the loosest lipped of the warlocks I have ever met. I appreciate the honesty. Très bien. So, with that in mind, I end up hearing such a commotion I had to end up looking into my own child's well-being. I was horrified at the very thought that such a thing would happen upon the watch of the Midnight Menagerie. I came as a concerned citizen to end up offering my aid. After all, little fledglings such as yourself should not be burdened with such horrors not so early in your existence.
Thank you for your concern, but we have it under control.
I can see that. Most impressive, Monsieur Jones. I am so glad to have ended up finally getting to see you. And yet, she leans over the corpse, inhales deep, and turns to look at you. You swear that the human neck should not be able to bend that way. It's almost reminding you of somebody else you met not too long ago. I am sure that this will be left under control. But if I might impart a little suggestion,
By all means.
prepare for gash. You might be really good at covering up the bits. He might even applaud it. But he is going to start asking questions. Certainly cannot end up having it loud. No, not in front of the Princess Precious. Those little ornaments.
Understood, ma'am. And while you are still here, is there any message you would like passed on to your child?
Oh, I'm sure he always knows. I'm always watching. He knows that better than anyone. Bonsoir, Monsieur Jones. She takes a step back, and little more than a blink happens before she's gone. As quickly as she arrived. Elliot? Is there anything else you must do at this point?
He's going to double check himself, make sure that the evidence has been faked and the report done. And once that is done, he is going to start the walk back to the manor while completely shaking, because he is both mentally drained and also terrified.
Very well then. Back at the Coterie house, we go. Well, at this point, I think we're going to take a quick little break just because there is something I need to set up. So we'll be gone for maybe 5 minutes. We'll be right back, everybody. Alright, everybody. Sorry about that. I had to end up making a quick talk with everybody. we're going to end up calling the session there. As unfortunately, some things ended up kicking off. But leaves us on a very interesting, somber note to discuss for, well, next week. The appearance of Minuet, the sire of Fishmonger. The aftermath of a hunting gone wrong. And the moral repercussions that come with the staining of a soul. So, with that being said, Black Wolf, would you be kind enough to get all 5 up in the poll for the audience favorite? We're going to resolve stains real quick. Susie? Not Susie. Lila?
Uh-huh.
You're going to take 3 stains for that. And I think everybody else would say that that is me being generously kind.
Yeah. Yeah.
3 is good.
I don't even have anything to fight that. So the only one I could argue would be don't waver in the face of stress, but even that might be pushing it a little bit.
I'm not. It's one of those cases where we're not going to take that lightly. We're going to give it with the full weight that it deserves. So,
and the remorse dice is just how many unchecked boxes, right?
That's correct. Lila, in the horror of what you've done, at the very least, you can end up saying that you've maintained yourself, because as soon as the afterglow, so to speak, kicked off, you're in utter disbelief of what you've done. You managed to keep your humanity for now. But right now, what should be the worst part is that you feel as though you are more complete when you work against it. That being said, we're gonna go to voting. So everybody gets 2 experience for showing up. Looks like we managed to realign, so we can end up welcoming back. We can end up welcoming back Lethality Complex. And all right, so there is going to be an audience poll. I think Black Wolf should be on it right now. If not, we can get that hooked up.
Wolf may have stepped away.
All right,
I don't know.
Well, all 5 ends up coming onto the poll. That should be enough. So, that being said, we're gonna end up going over. The 5 pieces of experience that typically gets taken. The first one is going to be the appearance. It's going to be 2 dots for everybody. Then we go into the group discussion. Who pushed the plot? Who had the best scene? Who had the best line? And then there's the 5th dot of experience. And that comes down to you, the audience. You guys get to vote on exactly who it is that, well, gets the bonus XP. So, let me get that poll up real quick. And while that ends up happening, let us go around the table. Who gets plot mover this session?
I'm going to throw Lila's hat in there, because
certainly.
her frenzy just set off a bunch of things that happened in session.
Can't deny that one.
Neither can I.
No, I imagine you can't. All right, let's get that poll
I
up.
was going to. Well, actually, that's what I'm good for. So never mind.
Huh? So everybody's in agreement?
Sounds like it.
All right, congratulations, Lila. You end up getting the experience for that one. So, who had the best scene?
I'm gonna throw Lila's in there again for the post-murder. Running
a heavy
around through
scene.
the streets and then jumping off the building into the alleyway.
I want to throw Elliot in there for the talk between him and the coworker.
Yeah, that would be my vote too.
That was a good one. That
Hmm.
was good.
I'm willing to give this one to Elliot.
3 votes, Elliot. So we're gonna give that one to Elliot. Who had the line of the night?
Yo.
Okay, which line are
Yeah.
you voting for? If you gotta tell us it.
Oh, please! I already know which one this is. Eggplant.
Yeah. It's like, what do you mean he's a fruit? I mean, he's a fruit. And I don't mean like a homosexual. I think he looks like an actual fruit. Like an eggplant.
Yeah. I would probably vote for Fish.
Oh,
His insinuation that Susie is all cobwebs up there.
I did like that. That was good.
I'll give my vote to Fish for that one. I'll give him that one.
All right, 2 for
I'll
Fish.
vote for Susie.
2 for Susie. Goes down to Doc.
Who you vote for,
Ooh,
Doc?
Volvo.
Volvo,
Time for
Um,
some politics.
Volvo, you get the waifu to hit debate. Now you can't get away from it. You can't end up saying it'll take them all.
Shit.
Shit, I gotta play the game of politics in real life now.
I like Fish, but I almost got sad with Susie. But I also like Chaos, so I'm gonna vote for myself.
Well then,
I knew it.
high or low?
I was waiting for it.
High or low?
Hi.
You're both in agreement?
Sure.
High?
Yes.
Mhm.
You both get the experience this time, and Derek Dice didn't screw you.
Yes.
Boom.
All right. And audience poll is still up, though Lila's got a substantial lead, but you guys can use your channel points to end up swinging it. Or you can cement it. Up to you guys. Now, remember, our players can't vote, so it comes down entirely to the audience.
Wait. Did Black Wolf... Is that a typo, or did he actually call you sussy?
No, I just decided to end up taking a personal jab at that point.
Oh,
Because Susie is sussy.
She is sus. She
She's
is
sussy
sus.
as fuck.
There is a reason why she's like that, though.
Yeah. All right. Oh, Susie, Sussy's coming up. Lila's there. It's turned it into
Oh,
it.
it's a
turned into
duel.
it's the eBay
Okay.
bid.
I see how this is going.
Someone out there making investments.
Bring it on. Bring on the chaos.
This is always the best part of the audience poll was when this starts happening.
Holy shit.
People save their points specifically for this.
Someone's starting to drop a hell of a lot.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, someone's dropping a ton on Lila.
And on Susie. Susie's
Lila's
slowly
pulled
catching
ahead.
up.
Lila's pulled
Yeah,
ahead.
Lila's
Oh,
ahead,
it's-
but Susie isn't too far behind.
Oh!
For those who don't know, we're at 77 versus 81 versus 71. This is so close. Like this is
79.
literally all it takes is for one person to just throw their own
95,
55.
Ooh.
Oh,
Susie pulled
Susie's
ahead.
taking the lead!
God, we're treating this like
Another
horse
even.
races. This is awesome.
Holy shit.
Oh, somebody's trying to make sure. Now everybody's in on it. These votes are coming in faster than one person could possibly be doing it. This is literally a race. Then sneaks it in with Lila by 1 point, 160 to 159.
9.
Oh,
160
Damn.
to 159. Wow.
What?
Jesus.
Black Wolf dropping 128,000
Jesus.
Black Wolf is
channel
back,
points.
trying to end up. I know what Black Wolf was doing. He was trying to.
Jeez, Black Wolf.
All right, nicely done, ladies and gentlemen.
I can see that. Yeah, no, take it.
Looks like
Shit.
Brian Wilson's trying to get into Susie's pants to get rid of those cobwebs.
Wow.
Cleaning services are available. That means
There- I've got so much to say on that.
but we can't do it on Twitch. So
No,
thank
we
you all
cannot.
very much for coming in. I'm gonna end up checking real quick because I'd like to end up continuing this night of Vampire the Masquerade, seeing how this ends up going, and see who's live. Let's double check. You know what? I will admit openly that this was a darker episode than normal. So we're gonna go and get our after shot, or our chaser of wholesomeness, with Cobalt Spring.
She is indeed wholesome.
Okay? We're gonna end up jumping in there with a little bit of wholesomeness in order to brighten up the day. And we will see you guys, well, tomorrow, where we end up doing the Vampire the Masquerade workshop. I think I might have a few ideas. Say goodnight, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Yay.
Good night.
What have they done?